Hi everyone, welcome to Tuesday Check-In. So this past Sunday, we talked about searching for God, recognizing that God is, of course, everywhere and open to being found everywhere. So it's not so much that we need to figure out the right places in order to find God, but rather to recognize the things that might be getting in the way of us seeing God right where we are. And in particular, we looked at True Christianity number 89, which says, the divine design is for people to prepare themselves to accept God, and as they prepare themselves, God enters them as if he were coming into his own dwelling and his own home. And that's a really beautiful image that I thought we would focus on today, this idea of God coming home to us. And to think a little bit about what things might be getting in the way of that, right? And it could be any number of things like fears or perspectives or habits that could be getting in the way of God coming home to us and being with us right where we are. You know, for me, it's busyness that sometimes prevents me being able to see God right where I am. You know, there are lots of good things and not so good things connected with my busyness. Certainly, a lot of it is about effectiveness and care, but some of it is also about control and worthiness. And so it's important to think about which parts of that might be getting in the way of being present with God. And Lent is just around the corner, so perhaps these reflections today can help us determine what our focus of Lent might be. So let's take a moment in reflection together and with God. I invite you to take a deep breath in and out. And another one, in and out. And with that out breath, just grounding ourselves in our seat, feeling held by the earth itself. So, let's take a moment to ask ourselves, what is one thing that is preventing God from coming home to us in our life right now? Let's have a moment of contemplation around that. So now, let's think about what is one thing that we could do to remove this impediment that is preventing God from coming home to us. And finally, let's take a moment to ask God for help in accomplishing removing this impediment for us. The divine design is for people to prepare themselves to accept God, and as they prepare themselves, God enters them as if he were coming into his own dwelling and his own home. May it be. Amen. So now I invite you to take a couple of deep breaths again. This time, as the air enters our lungs, let that movement reorient us to whatever space we might be in. Thank you so much for joining us for this moment of reflection today. I hope it can continue to bless your week, and I do hope that you will be able to join us at church, 10:30 a.m. on Sunday, in person and online. Take care, everyone.